Head coach Darvin Ham is proud of the fight in his group all season long.
You know, again, it sucks to lose and to the same team. I'm happy we broke that ice, was able to get one. Overall, you know, we won a battle, they won the war.
Now the question is, did LeBron just play his last game in the purple and gold?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. A new edition of Lakers Talk starts right now.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in. I remember a week ago, I said at this time next week, the season could be over. Obviously, we didn't want that to happen, but that's exactly what happened. The Lakers lose 4-1 against the Denver Nuggets. That's a wrap. The offseason has already begun. Just watched the end of the game between the Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. That game went into overtime. So moving forward, this is going to be all just about now talking about the NBA and obviously what the Lakers need to do in the offseason. We're obviously live on 710 ESPN, live on the app as well, also live on YouTube. So if you want to hang out with us on YouTube, feel free to do so as well. A lot to get into, obviously a lot to get into. Strategically, I did not put a guest on tonight because I didn't want to take a lot of calls. I know there's a lot of Laker fans out there that want to share their thoughts on the season, what went wrong this season, what would they like to see change. So I'll throw that out there right now, 877-710-ESPN if you want to be a part of the show. Let's start off with the series first because I think last night there was so much going on. Lakers lose the game, and before you know it, there's stories left and right about the Lakers and Darvin Ham and what's going to happen in the offseason, and are the Lakers going to go get Bronny, and everything that was surrounded about the Lakers. We couldn't even really have a second to recap what happened in the series and the game. So that's how I want to start off the show. So Lakers lose the series 4-1. Look, I think there's something about how the Lakers play the Denver Nuggets. I do think that each one of these games were competitive. I do think that the series ended after the Lakers lost Game 2 when they were up by 20, and Jamal Murray hit that dagger shot on Anthony Davis. I did feel like if the Lakers were going to make a series, they had to get one of those first 2 games in Denver. Was it competitive? Yes. Were the Lakers up 70% of the time this series? I think the exact number was 69. Yes. Were there some things that you could take away from, and LeBron and Anthony Davis, and some moments for Austin Reeves, some moments for D'Angelo Russell? Yeah, we can do all of that. But when the dust settles, the bottom line is they're not good enough to beat the Denver Nuggets. I don't care how close the games were. You've lost 12 of 13 games against that team. That in just these 2 rounds of the playoffs, you got swept last year. You lost in 5 games this year, a gentleman's sweep. They're 8-1 against you over the last 9 games in just the postseason alone. So can we sit here and, talk about how, but this game was close and last night's game was close? You're right, they were. Lakers had their chances. Maybe they don't go 18 of 27 from the free throw line. We might be talking about a game coming up on Thursday on this show that the Lakers got a Game 6 at Crypto.com Arena, but that wasn't the case. And every time close games between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets, Denver always ended up on the right side. Good teams find ways to win, and I don't want to call the Lakers a bad team, but they're a bad team versus the Denver Nuggets. When you're 1-8 against another team in the playoffs over the last 2 years, it's not a matchup. It's not. And as much as I wish I was wrong, as much as I'd like to make a case, but, one small play here and one small play there, the Denver Nuggets beat the Lakers 8 out of 9 times. I thought the only way the Lakers – this is actually another good example of why, unfortunately this matchup against the Denver Nuggets certainly didn't pan out for the Lakers. Every game that the Lakers had to win, think about the different scenarios that we would mention. Hey, if the Lakers are going to beat the Denver Nuggets, here's what they need. They need LeBron to be great. They need AD to be great. They need D'Angelo Russell to be really effective. They need Austin Reeves to be really effective. And then, by the way, they also need another player to step up. if they got a shot against the Denver Nuggets. They need perfect execution and coaching from Darvin Ham as well. You just kind of add all these things up together, where on the other side with Denver, they didn't need to have perfect games from Jamal Murray. They didn't need to have – they really had no bench at all. I mean, I think this team is not – I don't think the Denver Nuggets are as good as they were a year ago, and I think they're going to have a lot of trouble with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's, obviously a different conversation. But Denver could shoot poorly from the three-point line and still win a game. They could fall back behind 15 or 20 points and still win a game. There's a lot of scenarios that could not go perfect for the Denver Nuggets, and they could still get a win. So, I listen, and I've heard the conversation, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier on Super Crosstalk. How much would things have changed if the Lakers didn't face the Denver Nuggets in the first round? Maybe it would have changed. Maybe they would have got all the way to the Western Conference Finals again and faced either an opponent in the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Denver Nuggets, and that's where it stopped. I don't have an answer for you. I didn't mind the Lakers basically saying we're not going to dodge the Denver Nuggets. We're just going to, if we can beat the Pelicans, we're going to beat the Pelicans and we're going to move on. And if someone wants to make a case against that, fine, you can go ahead and do so. Last year, the Lakers' path, they got fortunate. They had some things that fell their way, and they ended up not having to face the defending NBA champs until the Western Conference Finals. This year, they got them in the first round, so it kind of is what it is. If we start proposing what went wrong this season, I think there's a lot of things that we can look at. I thought the roster coming into the year, I liked the idea that the Lakers were bringing back a lot of their guys. I liked that, hey, let's try to get some continuity. I heard Rui Hachimura say that yesterday. He said something to the effect of, look how many games they play together. We've only played about 100 games together. Let's just keep building on what we got. That's what Rui was playing for. And I don't think that's going to happen, by the way, this offseason. But I thought coming into the year, my biggest question mark is LeBron and Anthony Davis, are they going to be healthy? I think some of the things that hurt the Lakers during the season, they didn't get off to a good enough start. Basically, they had a stretch there in December where they really struggled. Oddly enough, it was after the in-season tournament, and unfortunately, for those that are saying, well, at least we won the in-season tournament, that still sounds like an absolute joke to me, and it sounds more of a joke now that the season is over and there's a banner still sitting up there, is what it is. I know some people don't care, and frankly, I don't really care all that much, too. I just hate that there's a banner up there. But you reached a certain part of the season that you didn't get off to a good enough start where you gave yourself some cushion. You really struggled after that in-season tournament. Had to basically play catch-up the rest of the way, and we've kind of all talked about that. The best players available for the Lakers were available. And I know it's not ideal, but think about to have LeBron James in over 70 games, Anthony Davis over 75 games, Austin Reeves didn't miss a game, D'Lo played 70-plus games. If I'd have told you those four players were going to play as much as the Lakers did, you wouldn't think that the Lakers were going to struggle this much, but they did. So the players were available starting February 1st. Obviously, the Lakers turned things around. That was a road trip where they were in the middle of a road trip, and they got a couple wins. I think it was Boston and New York in back-to-back games. Did they have some injuries along the way? They did. Okay, but – and listen, I'll sympathize a little bit. Not having Gabe Vincent, who you did sign, that was kind of one of your big free agent acquisitions. Jared Vanderbilt pretty much all season wasn't around. Did they have some players in and out of the lineup? They did, but the problem with that is tell me another team in the NBA that doesn't have guys that are in and out of the lineup. It's happening to everyone in the NBA. How much of the blame is on Darvin Ham? I think during the season of some of the things that did go wrong this year, I still don't understand why it took 50 games for the Los Angeles Lakers to find a starting lineup that they said, okay, this is the starting lineup that we're rolling with. The Lakers with Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves were 19-6 when that was the starting lineup this year. Darvin Ham, it took too long to get to that. I don't understand why that was the case, and all likelihood right now, Darvin Ham is not going to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, or obviously he'll eventually lose his job here. All indications are pointing towards that. It wasn't a perfect season, but I did think there were a lot of times where I felt like the Lakers could have had a much better regular season where they could have potentially avoided the Denver Nuggets. They could have faced another team. It was frustrating to see what kind of a hole that they dug themselves in. And then when they started playing some of their best basketball, you had the Denver Nuggets just based on seeding. We all thought Denver was going to end up with the number 1 seed. They ended up not ending up with the number 1 seed. They fall to number 2. A little bit of bad timing there, but it is what it is. I think that comes with the territory. So there's a number of things that went wrong this year, and I think the question is going to be now, what do you do to change things? And that's a question that is obviously going to be in front of the front office now for the entire offseason to figure out. All right, Lakers Talk is brought to you by Valvoline. Rush into your neighborhood Valvoline and let the expert technicians make sure your ride is in peak performance. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons. I've talked about Valvoline a lot. We'll continue to talk about them. Great partner, and it's the way to get your car serviced. Okay, let's do a couple things when we come back. I mentioned Darvin Ham here for a quick second. I want to go back to him. How much of this is on Darvin Ham? Are Laker fans out there, are they excited that there may be an opportunity for a new head coach here? How much is Darvin Ham just the punching bag, and there should be the finger should also be pointed at the front office, or should be pointed at some of these players? We're going to get into all that. LeBron's power within this organization, I think, is going to dictate a lot of what the offseason is going to be. I want to talk about Anthony Davis' fourth quarter woes that he had during the series against the Denver Nuggets. And is it just me, or does it sound like we've seen the last of D'Angelo Russell as well as a Los Angeles Laker? All that we're going to get into, plus your phone calls, 877-710-ESPN, 877-710-ESPN. Stay right here. This is Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN. I was just talking about Valvoline. If your vehicle is due for a service, got to head into your neighborhood Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home with a 15-minute drive-through oil change. I'll tell a quick story about Valvoline Instant Oil Change. I think we all run into this. Everybody, for the most part, has a car in Southern California. We're all driving around to and from work, wherever we're going. The check engine light comes on, or it's time to get your car serviced. And I know what you do, because I definitely have run into this myself. It's like, all right, let me just wait a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks go by. Still the light's on. You haven't done anything. Okay, maybe next time I turn off my car and I turn it back on, maybe by a miracle that light's going to come off. Why are you procrastinating about your car when it's time to get your car serviced? Valvoline Instant Oil Change. This is what they do. Oil changes, tire rotations, transmission care, and more. Just pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. There's locations all through Southern California. I go to the location out here in Pasadena. Very, very convenient. These are great techs. They're professionals, and they will take care of your car, and they'll do it in an efficient time. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons off your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
with Alan Sliwa.
After the Lakers' first-round playoff exit, everyone wants to know what comes next for LeBron.
No, I just want to get home to the family, honestly. One of my boys is just trying to decide if he's going to, enter the draft or go back to school. I got another kid that's playing AU ball right now. My daughter's playing volleyball, and my wife is doing so many great things. So it's about family right now. And then in a couple months, I got to go to Vegas for training camp.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. More Lakers Talk with Sliwa rolls on.
Back to Alan Sliwa.
All right, so Lakers season ends. 2 years in a row, Lakers lose to the Denver Nuggets. Last night, another close game. Great games. I mean, last night's game was incredibly stressful. Game 2 was incredibly stressful. Had opportunities to win both of those games. Unfortunately for the Lakers, I think they deserved a sixth game. Just not how the NBA works. That's not how sports works. If you deserve it, then go win the game. And between both of those games, whether it was the big lead that they had in Game 2 or even yesterday was just back and forth. Last night was just a tough game. I kept hearing them say on the broadcast, this was on TNT, that it was a heavyweight fight. It was. The last 6-7 minutes of the game, Nuggets throw a punch. Lakers throw a punch. Couple jabs here, couple uppercuts here, and then the final knockout punch was, of course, it was Jamal Murray because that's what Jamal Murray does. I did mention that I wanted to talk a little bit about Darvin Ham. How much of this is on Darvin Ham? How much is it to blame to throw it all on him? Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of just this is one person's fault, and if it was not Darvin Ham, the Lakers would have they'd be competing right now, and they'd be in the second round. I don't believe that. I think the Denver Nuggets are better, period. But I think Darvin Ham's had some moments this year where I felt like his job is going to be on the line. I already talked about how he mismanaged that starting lineup. A couple other things that I think it's very, very clear and apparent during the season. How Darvin Ham, just the strategy, how it goes. I talked about it a lot a week ago after Lakers lost that Game 2. Michael Malone is throwing out a plan A, a B, a C, a D, an E, an F. Whatever you throw at him, he's going to counter with something. A lot of the times I didn't feel like Darvin Ham and his coaching staff had the right counter or they weren't trying enough different things. Really kind of odd here. These are small things. And I'm not saying you lose your job for this, but just these are little things that you keep in mind. In Game 2, the Lakers, when that game ended, he still had 2 timeouts and he had a review that was unused. Okay, and I would argue that he should have used that review when LeBron made some contact with Jamal Murray late in that game with under a minute left to go. Yesterday's game was the opposite. He used all of his reviews and had no timeouts, and the Lakers didn't have an opportunity once Jamal Murray hit that shot to call timeout, put the ball at half court, and then obviously have an opportunity for a final play. Little things like that are important. But to me, the thing that was the most telling about Darvin Ham this year and why I do think, and I'm not going to make an argument here, that Darvin Ham, whose job is in jeopardy, that's all the reports, is that his job is in jeopardy. Nothing officially has happened, but it certainly seems like at some point here in the near future, Darvin Ham's no longer going to be the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. To me, it was Game 2 post-game when Anthony Davis, in front of all the media, says that there are stretches in games where we don't know what we're doing on both sides of the ball. And then the next time Darvin Ham had to address that, he had to back up his coaching staff and say, I'll agree to disagree. What I didn't hear yesterday, and maybe just some of these questions weren't coming up, I never felt like there were these players that were all, if a question was brought up, if you think Darvin Ham's the problem, you're a fool, you're an idiot, that guy is good to go. We're not where we are without Darvin Ham. I really hear a lot of that. Remember that report earlier in the season, and this was, I remember it was The Athletic, it was Jovan Buha, had him on the show, and there was rumblings that there were a lot of players not really happy with their roles. I don't know which players, I don't know that, but do you have the locker room? I don't know if Darvin Ham had the locker room. I know he didn't have Anthony Davis's attention, at least in that game 2, for Anthony Davis to have that straightforward type of comments. I definitely didn't think that. Let's just say I didn't feel like the players were going out of their way to say you're a complete fool if you're getting rid of this head coach. So I didn't feel that. I didn't see that. There are a long laundry list of things that I could point out as well. Definitely the Lakers are not out of the playoffs just because of Darvin Ham, but I think he's a piece of it. And I do think that if you're looking towards next season, what are areas that you're going to need to improve? I think you're going to have to improve with your head coaching, potential job down the road. Something to keep in mind, too, well, that's going to be on the front office. Now you got to get the front office. You got to believe in them that they're going to identify who's going to be the right coach. And that's not a guarantee or lock if you look at how many different head coaches the Lakers have had over the last 10, 11, 12 years or so. So I want to get the Darvin Ham piece out because I know that's a conversation. It's going to continue to be a conversation. The word is that there's a strong likelihood that he will not be the head coach. All right, let's take some phone calls here. Robert in Baldwin Park. Robert, what's going on? Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. I want to make a couple of comments. I hear you talk about the Laker coach and the point fingers at him and whatnot, but I feel like the main reason Lakers lost this series is because they were practically out-hustled most of the games, and they're out-rebounded by Aaron Gordon alone. At times, they didn't hustle to the inbound passes. In that 1 second game when he got that pass and threw it to Porter Jr. and he hit a three, then Murray came and hit that winning shot. It's just a lucky play. Those are all hustle plays. And they lost on most of the hustle plays, in my opinion. And then there's other factors.
Robert, let me stop. Robert, let me stop you right there. Let me respond to that real quick. I think did the Lakers were there definitely possessions where they were getting outboarded. Aaron Gordon, that's kind of his. Look, every player for the Denver Nuggets knows exactly their role, and they all find ways to win a game. Aaron Gordon's a perfect example. He doesn't have to have 25 points, even though he had a game where he had 29 and 15 to be effective. Michael Porter was effective in his own way. KCP was effective. I felt like each one of their role players in the starting lineup, every single game they were effective. For the Lakers, it was flip a coin. Is D'Angelo going to be effective? I don't know. Heads or tails. Is Rui going to be effective? Most likely, no. Austin Reeves got a little bit more effective as the series went on, but it was too little too late. So, Robert, if your point is that the role players for the Denver Nuggets were much better and much more effective than the Lakers, I will never argue that. What's the last point you wanted to bring up?
My last point is that the Lakers have gone through so many coaching changes in this last, like you said, 10 years. Coaching changes are not going to get it done. They really need shooters on this team. You got LeBron, you got AD that demand double teams most of the time. But when they kick it out, you got to have reliable shooters. You got to have players that can shoot the ball the way like Porter was shooting. I mean, when he had the ball in his hand, I always thought he's going to make a basket. He's going to hit a three.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate you calling in. He was incredible. I don't know what Michael Porter shot for the series, but I don't remember seeing that dude miss a shot. Never understood it, too. Lakers would the guy was incredibly creative of coming off screens and everything else, but can you make the guy take a dribble? Can you make the guy get off the three? He obviously wants to shoot threes, and don't get me wrong, Michael Porter can hit jumpers as well, but he was incredible. All right, list of coaches for the Lakers since Phil Jackson left the Lakers back in 2011. Mike Brown coached 71 games for the Lakers. Bernie Bickerstaff coached 5 games. It was an interim. Mike D'Antoni coached 154 games. Byron Scott coached 164 games. Luke Walton coached 246 games. Frank Vogel coached 225. And Darvin Ham, up to this point, has coached 164 games for the Lakers. So you have 2 coaches in that window that coached for 3 years. Everybody else is a 2-year window. Mike Brown was for 1 year. So gives you an idea of the recycling of the coaches that we were talking about. Brian in Oxnard. Brian, what's going on? Thank you for calling in, buddy.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, so I want to talk about, my main point is the Lakers can't win anything with the current situation. You have LeBron about to be he's like 39 years old, about to be 40.
Sure.
Yeah, that happening. I get him and AD did play most of the games this year. That's great. That's awesome. But he's only getting older. Naturally, Father Time's unbeaten. You're only getting older. You're going to eventually decline, even if it's very gradual, like it's been happening with LeBron.
I thought it would happen earlier for LeBron, and still not.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's still slow, but yes.
But my point I'm trying to make though is we need a better number 3. You're not going to win with a bipolar D. Russell. Reeves is nice. He does have his moments here and there, but not good enough. The thing with Denver that I really noticed that you brought up in the last phone call was Porter, Gordon, KCP. Every game that they went into, outside of Murray and outside of Joker, you knew they were going to make those big shots. You knew that was going to happen. There was no, oh, man, are they going to go scoreless today? There's that happening with the Lakers with D. Russ, which I'm glad he's probably going to be gone. And then one other thing I got to say is pretty important is the Lakers need to send some police officers out there to get Gabe Vincent and arrest him for stealing money from the Lakers and put Rui Hachimura's face on a milk carton, because where the hell was he? He was missing the whole damn series.
Brian, I appreciate you calling in. All right, we'll get on that. We'll get the LAPD to go look for Gabe Vincent and Rui Hachimura. They have a little bit of time because we got an entire offseason here. Okay, Lakers Talk is brought to you by Valvoline. Rush into your neighborhood Valvoline. Let those expert technicians make sure your ride is in peak performance. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons. Okay, more of your phone calls when we come back. I know we got a lot of people that want to call in. And this is actually a good question. It's something that Brian just brought up. Go get another big star in the offseason. Now, the Lakers, they've tried this before. Didn't work with Russell Westbrook. And I'm not saying you don't go try it again, because if you could find the right star, I'm okay with that. I do have some hesitations, and I'll explain what some of those hesitations are. Plus, let's talk a little bit about LeBron and what we think his offseason plan is. We'll do that as well. Stay right here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN. All right, whether you're heading to the stadium to cheer on your team or going to watch a game at a friend's house, commit to the Go Safely game plan. I know there's a lot of great events around here in Los Angeles, whether it's a sporting event, a music venue, maybe you're just going to go watch sports at a bar, whatever the case is. Very, very important to pay attention to this message. If you plan to drink, you got to plan ahead. Leave the keys behind and get a sober designated driver. Still need a sober ride home. You got options. Use public transit or a ride-hailing service and stick to the game plan. Please make sure that you're not putting your life at risk or other lives at risk because you're being careless and you're not paying attention to all those other people that are on the road. Remember, alcohol controls your actions and your reactions, especially behind the wheel. 37 people are killed in drunk driving crashes every single day in the United States. That's one person every 39 minutes. Let's bring that statistic down. Let's be more responsible, and it starts with you, and it starts with me. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
if he does, obviously our goal is to come back and be a championship contender. Stay healthy and give Laker Nation what they deserve.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. Another edition of Lakers Talk continues.
Back to Alan Sliwa.
I appreciate you guys hanging out, all those on the radio or on the app or on YouTube. So thank you for hanging out here. We'll go till 8 o'clock tonight. I want to play something. Brian Windhorst was breaking down the details of LeBron potentially opting out. Also talked about free agent possibilities. We had a caller talking about how the Lakers need a third star. Let's take a quick listen to what Windy had to say.
I think LeBron is probably going to opt out of his contract, and I think there's several different reasons for that. I don't think it means he's leaving.
Okay.
I do think it means he wants to leave his options open. Number one, the Lakers didn't do anything at the trade deadline. At the draft, LeBron, I think, would like to see some action, and one of the things that you can do to encourage that is by potentially becoming a free agent. Secondly, I don't know if you guys heard, but Bronny James entered the NBA draft officially today, and that means that the Lakers potentially have 2 picks, and maybe Bronny stays in the draft. And, there's many steps between now and Bronny for sure being in the draft. But if you're LeBron, you may want to be a free agent just to see what happens with Bronny or to let teams know that may be interested in Bronny, like perhaps the Lakers, that he could be a free agent. Third, if LeBron opts into his contract, he gets $51 million. Good for him. He's earned it. If he opts out of his contract, he can sign for 3 years and $160 million. He can build in additional options if he wants, and this is not insignificant. If he opts in, he cannot get a no-trade clause. If he opts out and begins a new deal, he can get a no-trade clause. So I think it's probably going to be smart for him to at least posture that he's going to opt out. But I want to underline it again. It does not mean he's not going anywhere, but when you are a free agent, you are a free agent.
All right, that's Brian Windhorst. So a couple things here. I think the situation of what the Lakers are going to do in the offseason, what LeBron's going to do in the offseason. Actually, I had his tweet here. He sent a tweet about an hour ago. I'm going to pull this up real quick because when he was asked yesterday about is this your final game with the Los Angeles Lakers, he said he doesn't want to answer that question. Here's what LeBron had to say today. He said, I've heard a lot of reports about my future. I said it last night, and I'll say it again. I do not know yet, as I'm only thinking about spending time with my family and friends. When I know after speaking with the fam, my counsel, as well as my representation about it, then you guys will know. Until then, love. I'm going to tell you what I think LeBron is going to do. And he's in just an unbelievable position of power. It's not like LeBron James is just a name. And do you remember what LeBron used to be? LeBron is still killing it. LeBron is still incredible. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but if you were watching those playoffs, you know who wasn't fading away in the fourth quarter? LeBron. You know who was still out there and not putting up empty stats, but really, really influencing a game? LeBron. Do you know at times looked completely unstoppable and Denver didn't have an answer? LeBron. LeBron has the power because not only is he somebody that's already accomplished just this wherever you want to put him in the league, you're not getting past 2-3 players before you mention LeBron as one of the greatest. His brand is as powerful as can be. He sells out arenas. He gets 40-plus nationally televised games. Now, the Lakers can do this on their own, but put the two together, that's a very powerful partnership. But LeBron also has an incredible amount of power of what's going to happen this upcoming summer. I agree with Brian Windhorst. He's going to opt out. He's going to opt out because he can, and he can go get more money in more years. I don't want to see a 3-year deal for LeBron James. I definitely don't. I think that's way too long. But another 1+1, okay, sounds good. Let me just tell you what comes with that the moment you sign another 1+1 with LeBron James. And I think the Lakers would do it in a heartbeat, and there would be no hesitation. The question now is, are you going out there to go try to get another third star? what Brian Windhorst said about the Lakers not getting anything at the trade deadline, I want to just take everybody back to what happened at the trade deadline. I think the Lakers were trying to make a move. I think the Lakers were trying to trade D'Angelo Russell and some of the assets that they have. Rob Pelinka, I remember him saying, so the Lakers, the NBA trade deadline was at noon on a Thursday, and Lakers had a game Thursday night at home. So Rob Pelinka addressed the media about the NBA trade deadline. And what was his quote? You can't buy a house that's not for sale. And then he also talked about, look, I'm going to have more assets in the summer. And if I got 3 first-rounders, then I could go out there and try to get another big-time player, whatever the case is, right? That I'm as best as I can just recalling when he did talk about it back in February. The Lakers will accommodate to LeBron James. They will. They clearly have LeBron clearly has the leverage, and the Lakers have given no indication that they're not in the LeBron James business, and they want to continue to accommodate for him. And you know what? He's also still unbelievably good and still making it happen. And we've been saying, well, he's going to slow down. He goes, okay, yeah, he's slowing down. That part's natural, but isn't he still a top 10 player in the league? Wasn't he one of the top 10 players that you watched in the NBA playoffs? I certainly thought so. Not that I was watching every single game, but he certainly was. Now the question is going to be okay, who's going to be your head coach? What personnel are you going to go out there and get? Are you going to go make some trades? How do you improve that roster? I saw already people, continuing to talk about Trae Young and what the Trae Young deal would look like and the type of players that you'd have to give up. I'll just say this, whatever business that you're in where you're giving up 3 first-rounders, please make sure that the player that you end up trading for is also a player that you feel like is going to be a big part of the future, and that player plus Anthony Davis could also be effective once LeBron decides to hang it up. So, do I feel like LeBron's going to get everything he's looking for? Absolutely. I do believe that. Solomon in Lake Balboa. What's going on, Solomon?
Hey, I'm good, Alan. Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for being a great host for another season.
Thank you, man.
4 things I want to see moving forward with the Lakers. Number 1, get a backup big for Anthony Davis. They are thin down low. They never did anything to replace JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard, okay? And it shows, especially in the fourth quarter when he's banged up and tired, and there's no bigs, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, I want a dog off the bench. You do not have an impact player coming off that bench. Number 3, I'd like to see a third consistent scorer in your starting 5 after AD and LeBron. And 4th, I'd like to see a shrewd manager, in-game manager that can, coach on the fly and make adjustments and alter a game plan with experience and a good track record. I think you do those 4 things, maybe you make it past the Denver Nuggets. Don't know, but it's certainly worth a shot.
Solomon, appreciate you calling in. I'm going to stop. One of the first things you said was you want a consistent, a player that is more consistent to be your third best player, a third scoring option. I wanted to talk about D'Angelo Russell. I think now's the time to do it. It's interesting with D'Lo. D'Lo had such a interesting season with the Lakers. Got off to a really bad start. I mean, take D'Angelo Russell. Think about D'Lo. Beginning of the season, he eventually goes from the starting lineup to now he's coming off the bench. That was back in December, I want to say. See, I think I remember which game it was. It was a game against the Utah Jazz, I want to say. Wherever it was, I'm pretty sure it was in December where he was told, all right, you're coming off the bench. And I thought for D'Lo, I thought to myself, I'm like, all right, D'Lo this is a critical stage in his career. I mean, if D'Angelo Russell if the Lakers can't depend on him, what happens moving forward with D'Angelo Russell? Okay, fast forward. He has 3 months where he starts playing really well. He ends up not getting traded at the trade deadline. Me personally, I think he didn't get traded at the trade deadline because the Lakers just didn't find a deal that they thought was worthwhile. I think it had more to do with that than it did with we want to keep D'Angelo Russell. That's my personal opinion there. And then playoffs were about to start, and I think the reason why if D'Angelo Russell, if you listen to some of his post-game comments, he talked about how There's a reason why he signed the deal that he had. He feels like he has some leverage. He's going to try to use that leverage. He thought he had a really good season, so forth and so forth. If D'Lo opts out of that contract and ends up with another team, I'm not going to be one person that's disappointed that D'Angelo Russell's gone. I'm just not. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but watching D'Lo in these playoffs as well, I had no idea what I was going to get every single night. There was just way too much of a variable of effective player to a no-show. I mean, just take 2 games there. I'll point out all the games. Game 1, he went 1 for 9 from the three-point line, 6 of 20 from the field. Took a ton of shots and couldn't catch it. Took more shots than LeBron. Game 2, caught fire. Hit his first 5 threes, ended up with 7 3-pointers. Game 3, he didn't have a point. He had 0 points, and I want to say 2 or 3 assists. Game 4, better. And then Game 4, better, 21 points, I think is what he ended up having. Shot efficiently. And then Game 5 yesterday, again, struggled from the field, 2 of 10 from the three-point line. I have no idea what D'Angelo Russell's going to give on a night-in, night-out basis. I just don't. You know, I remember the conversation at the trade deadline, not this trade deadline, the one before where they got D'Angelo Russell, that there was chatter that they had an opportunity for Mike Conley, and I never understood why they didn't go and get that vet that would be a great locker room guy, that could help a lot of the other role players, that can set up players like LeBron or Anthony Davis, and other times just get out of the way and go hit jumpers. I never understood why, if there was an option here between choosing between Mike Conley and D'Angelo Russell, I'd have took Mike Conley 10 times out of 10. But I don't think D'Lo's going to be back, and I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. And frankly, I don't know how many Laker fans are going to lose sleep over it. If he can go get a contract somewhere else and he feels like he's going to be more effective there, then good luck with what he ends up doing over there. Okay, we come back. We got crunch time coming up. We'll talk about a couple NBA stories. Crazy NBA games across the NBA today. Philly was down 6 with about 25 seconds left to go against New York. The Knicks had a chance to close it. Knicks were showing every former athlete and celebrity, and then they end up losing in overtime. I know Orlando lost by 1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, so that's 3-2 Cleveland. There's another game going on right now. Top NBA stories when we come back. Stay right here. Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
It's crunch time on Lakers Talk.
When the clock is ticking and it's all coming down to the wire, you know what that means.
This is crunch time.
Funch is going to throw a couple NBA stories my way, and me, Funches, and DeAndre are going to talk a little bit about it.
What's up, Slee? Here's Slee and producer Michael Funches.
Hi, Funches. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? It's crazy right now.
Yeah?
Crazy in the NBA.
Yeah, well, by the way, and I know we're all obviously rooting for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Were you? What'd you think of the games they lost? Was it?
It was frustrating. So frustrating
to
lose on the Jamal Murray game winners. Like we had a chance, and like I said in my notes that I sent you earlier, we lost on an average of 5.5 points. And that's
right.
Really close.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we fought hard, man.
Close doesn't work. And 8-1 against the Denver Nuggets, and Jamal Murray ripped the soul out of the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, what do you got over there?
All right, the Clippers and Mavs, which is a crazy series that itself, is tied 2-2.
Yep.
With the Clips, reports with the Clips will have no Kawhi for Game 5 tomorrow night at the Crypto.com Arena. On the other side of the bracket in the East, the Celtics are up on a Heat 3-1. With reports that Kristaps Porzingis could be out for multiple games.
Okay.
So who's in more trouble here? The Clips with no Kawhi or the Celtics with no Porzingis?
That's a good question. All right, now are we talking about – if we're talking about the series they're currently in, then the matchup against the Mavs is just tougher competition than what the Celtics got to deal with the Heat. So if we're talking big picture here – are the Clippers more in trouble at a run in the Western Conference, or the Celtics more in trouble at a run in the Eastern Conference? I'm still going to say that I'm actually going to say the Celtics are more in trouble in the East, and I'll tell you why I say that. I haven't seen them play without Porzingis. I've seen the Clippers play without Kawhi. They're still a threat. There's actually something about having one less scorer the way they do. Bro, you got one basketball. You know what I mean? So it's you got different guys that are obviously going to attack. Paul George is going to get his. James Harden's going to get his. To win a championship, I think Kawhi – I think Clippers are going to win a championship, so that one's a little bit tougher to answer. I think the Porzingis thing that's more concerning, I think, right now.
Yeah,
for
because
Celtics.
with no Porzingis, they really have no interior guy.
Well, I haven't really seen them play without Porzingis either. Where I've seen Kawhi sit games and I've seen that Clippers team play. The Celtics are expected to get to the NBA Finals. The Clippers are not expected to get to the West or to get to the NBA Finals. So probably a little more pressure on the Celtics on this one. And but by the way, on the other side, Jimmy Butler's gone for Miami. He's been out.
Jeez.
So it's like
also there's a report that Jaquez is going to be out tomorrow for Game 5 too.
I saw that. That's right. They're already playing shorthanded.
Well, yeah,
so.
they didn't travel. They didn't travel with the team to Boston. So
who was it? It was Jaquez. Was it
and Rozier? I believe. I believe Rozier too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Three of them didn't travel to Boston. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, guys. Next question.
By the way, I will say that is the worst thing about the playoffs. You've got
injuries.
Zion out, right? Think of I'm trying to think of off the top of my head here. Think of all the injuries here.
Butler,
Giannis, Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, you could literally make a starting five that can go up against any starting five of just the stars that are out in the playoffs.
It's true.
All right, guys. So we have Indy and Milwaukee playing right now.
Okay.
I don't know what the score is right now, but Indy's up on the series 3-1. No Giannis, no Dame for the Bucks tonight, and they're on the ropes, being down 3-1. Phoenix got swept over the weekend to the Timberwolves. So my question here, guys, is who's more likely to break up over the summer, Giannis and Dame, or the trio of KD, Book, and Beal?
All right, 53-48. Bucks are up by 5 at halftime. This one's actually easy for me. I think and DeAndre, weigh in on this as well. I think the fact that the Bucks they got an out here. Their out is, but we didn't have our guys healthy for the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns got swept, and their guys were all there, right? Bradley Beal was there, Kevin Durant was there, Devin Booker was there, and you guys tell me what's going to change there. I think the Bucks can make a case, all right, let's just run it back because we didn't get our playoff run, and we can't, it's not like they lost to the Pacers in the first round and everyone was healthy. I think it's more likely that the Suns break it up. What do you think, DeAndre?
I actually think it's more likely that the Bucks are going to break it up. Only because if they don't advance, I feel like Doc Rivers they're going to be conversations about surrounding around Doc Rivers, and I feel like Damian Lillard is just not comfortable being a 1 and 2 with Giannis. I feel like he needs the ball in his hands, and that pick and roll game is not what people thought it could be. I feel like with that group, I think that Dame might, the Bucks are the ones that might split up.
All right. Well, okay, Funch, you pick between those two.
I got the trio of KD, Book, and Beal actually staying together more likelier than Giannis.
Staying together?
Yeah, staying together because it's so hard to trade any of those guys.
Book, they can
Beal,
get a
Beal
haul
doesn't
back
have
for.
Beal has a no trade clause. Book is a future in
Look,
Phoenix.
Book they can get a haul for. Okay.
But they're not going to trade him. He's a future.
But you said they can't trade these guys. Book they can get a haul for.
Yeah.
KD they can definitely trade as well.
Yeah, but no one wants KD right now. I don't know.
I think there were a team that would take it. Either way, I think if the Milwaukee Bucks decide, I'm not sold on that team at all, but I think if they decide to not trade anybody and to come back and run it back, their only alibi in all this was they weren't healthy for the playoffs, whether you believe in that team or you don't. So, freaking Jamal Murray. Did he just hit another shot?
Yeah, he did.
I'm sure Jamal Murray just hit another shot.
Well,
I'm sure Anthony Davis was just guarding.
It's going to be a great series this week between the Nuggets and Minnesota too.
I'm going to lean towards Minnesota in that series.
I am too.
I don't think Denver has the depth. Watching them play, I didn't feel like they were that impressive against the Lakers. Look, they're really, really good, and their starting five is amazing. But who comes off the bench for them? Minnesota's got. I feel like they got 8-9 guys that they could use in any one of these games. So, all right, good stuff, fellas. I appreciate you guys chiming in on that. Okay, unfortunately for the Lakers, usually at this stage of the show, I start talking about when the Lakers' next game is going to be. Well, there is no other game. To give everybody an idea, and I know we've been doing Lakers talk for years now, but what happens in the offseason? What happens in the offseason is the show's going to be every Monday night. I know today's Tuesday because we had a Laker game yesterday, but as it's been, we'll go 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We'll do 1 full hour of Lakers basketball. There's obviously going to be a lot going on in the offseason. What's going to happen with Darvin Ham? What's going to happen with LeBron James? What free agents are they going to go after? Are they going to draft Bronny? So we'll make sure every single week on Monday nights to break it all down Laker-wise. So make sure you guys tune in right here. Thank you to Michael Funches, Mario Ruiz, DeAndre Hawkins, Cody Lou, the whole team, everybody that called in and hung out for the hour. I greatly appreciate it. LA, as always, have a great rest of your night.